it was announced that the government will be divesting the ONTC, which is not a foreclosure. It means that it's an orderly searching for delivery of like services to meet the demands in the marketplace through northeastern Ontario. And primarily, of course, through the private sector partnering. They will remain committed to seeing that there is subsidy in place for the Polar Bear Express, for the ferry to Moosonee, and for all motor coach services that go to single serviced communities where no other motor coach services go. So those will remain in a subsidy basis with the province of Ontario. The reason we have arrived at this point is that the financial model that we have in place with the province of Ontario is not functioning in any possible way that meets the needs of the organization in the region. The subsidy this year will be $103 million for the ONTC. The budgeted amount is $28 million. So that gives you a sense of the dynamic and the amount of the demand on the subsidy process. Part of what the government is going forward with is they will honor all aspects of the pension plan and program that is in place. There will be no change, it will remain whole. All labor contracts that are currently in place will be honored and respected. All of the supplier and vendor relationships with the ONTC and with our service provider elements will all be honored and respected. It is business as usual today and for the future until we know with greater certainty as to how this will go forward in northeastern Ontario. And that is the substance of what the announcement was earlier this morning.
Ted, did you have any input on this decision?
I was asked to attend meetings starting early on Monday, and I have been briefed and informed and asked to head the new commission that will deal with this matter.
Is this basically what was a privatization that had been rumored for many years? Is that what's happening today?
I mean, we can all reflect back to the previous attempt at, and maybe the term is privatization. I'm not so sure it is, but this is a divestiture is an orderly transfer and alignment of assets to meet the same needs of the organization. That's what a divestiture is. So there's order and intent to maintain the same services. It is also being done respecting all of the commitments and obligations that we have to every single party that we are currently engaged with. That is a little different than maybe a previous model.
So do you mean if there was a buyer who was interested in purchasing a division or more than that, and they had plans to do something other than what is being provided as a service today, they would be refused as a purchaser?
You know, that's something that the new commission will have to look at on a case-by-case basis. The other thing, and excuse me for having not mentioned it, Paul Goulet, who's, I'm glad, very glad he's sitting here with me. Paul has agreed to stay on in this initiative, and he will, of course, be the president and chief executive officer of the ONTC, and of course, assist the commission. But it is business as usual for the ONTC. So this isn't today. There is no effective change that we're seeing, or in the near future.
But when you say that, you know, all of the current contracts that are in place and the pensions, that's all going to be honored, service agreements with providers. That's until
until there are options or options develop at a point in time when we, you know, have something to
So for the time being, it's business as usual,
Mhm.
and then, you know, if you enter into negotiations where there's a sale, that's when things will change.
Do you have any timeline, any sense of how long it will take, Ted?
None, I wish I did. I wish I could be more helpful. I'm not trying to be evasive. The issue is there is great care and commitment by the government to do this. We think that when you have the large disparity in the Drummond Commission, which has come down, and the new budget, which is coming down, and we have a disparity between a $28 million budgeted subsidy and $103 million, and it's been over $400 million since 2003. The model is suffering, but the need is still there. And so because the need isn't broken, it's not the business service need that's broken, because it is needed. But the business model, it isn't functioning with that great a disparity. And so I think we have assembled a great group to face that challenge, to try and deliver what we should be in Northeastern Corridor.
Do you think this is the right decision?
Well, when you have a program with a subsidy and deficit that we're currently facing, we can't go forward. It just isn't sustainable. So the whole issue is we can't sustain this level of financial demand. So what are we going to do? You know, it is about saving jobs. It is about keeping the service. It is about meeting the needs of the people. And the government isn't for a second moving away from any of their obligations. The pension obligation for the ONTC is a serious and significant one. You know, the contracts that they have negotiated in, they're absolutely going to honor and respect those. So there's no change in any of that.
We just came from a news conference where, you know, the mayor and the union were saying they want a chance to put together a plan to make the operation viable, to make the operation work. You know, they were saying that the ministry has really kind of acted as a barrier. You know, red tape, approvals, regulations. Is that a possibility in your opinion?
Absolutely. I don't see why it wouldn't be. The Commission's completely open. I don't know if you've seen the briefing this morning, if you've received the background documents. You have who the people are on the Commission.
Mm-hmm.
It's not big, but there are people from Innovation Ontario, from the Finance Governance Ministry, from Metrolinx, and from Infrastructure Ontario. So there's 4 people. And myself and Paul is the president and CEO. So I think there's going to be every genuine effort made to see that this succeeds.
Metrolinx is on there. That just doesn't sound right. Why would they be sitting on this commission? A Southern Ontario entity making decisions to the north.
One of their vice presidents is we have had at 2 levels. Paul, why don't you talk about your talks with Metrolinx?
In terms of alliance?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, we've had ongoing dialogue with Metrolinx for a long time. It's a natural to be associated with a transportation agency, similar activities. The loss of the GO contract was obviously a huge loss. But there's other synergies that we have with Metrolinx. The buses, GO Transit's bus service to Barrie. We deliver passengers now currently to our bus terminal and soon to Union Station. There's certainly opportunities to align with GO on the bus side of things. There's certainly opportunities to reopen discussions on refurbishment. And we're being told that all of this is available for discussion, as Ted said. So it would be obviously important for the largest transportation authority in the province to be part of that board.
Don't you worry that perhaps they will just take over running this?
I have many worries. That's really not prime among them. What I'm most interested in right now is having Infrastructure Ontario be part of this. They've done much of the work with the private sector for the province of Ontario. We're going to have to find innovative solutions, whatever they are. Certainly the model to this date in time, although it's been a noble enterprise, has not been sustainable. So I think the fact that a special commission is being set up, a special board, and that everything's on the table is encouraging. I know this is a horrible day for North Bay and for Ontario Northland, but I believe we can look at positive solutions, and certainly this would be the group to do it. Industry, that's the mining industry, and your costs are fixed when you're in rail. So when you run 800 miles of track north into the James Bay coast, at one time that made tremendous sense as the forestry industry was burgeoning and development was going at a high pace throughout northeastern Ontario. That's virtually disappeared with the global recession. The mining industry has been down for years, and we can't pick that rail up and move it. And the fixed costs don't get translated. You can't all of a sudden downsize and reduce fuel prices and take your facilities out of play and not maintain rail and not maintain track infrastructure. So costs are not easily adjusted to declining revenue. So to answer your question, that's been the most significant cost we've encountered.
It's 439 million since 2003, and that's how much of the subsidy, and it speaks to everything that Paul said, but also our infrastructure. We have some bridges that are 109 years old, and if we have a derailing, it's nothing to spend $2 million on setting, you know, the track back in place. And that happens. We run in terrible terrain that has all kinds of erratic seasonal influences. So it's really tough for this organization.
And just to go back a little bit, I just wanted to be clear. So the commission isn't going to simply be looking at selling, you know, the divisions off to private interest. You're willing to look at a plan from the union. You're willing.
You know what?
to...
This commission will look at, I believe, anything that will deliver the services to northeastern Ontario and meet the needs of the organization. I don't see why anybody couldn't consider that would be looked at by this commission. Initially, I mean right now and today, the model is to probably offer the various units for sale and try and make sure that we maximize job retention and that they stay in the north. We have some assets here that are second to none. Our telecommunication is phenomenal. Our bus route, we have great bus routes in place, fantastic staff, highly trained people. We have a paint shop second to none in Canada, sitting right, 4 blocks away. So I don't think that it's totally out of question that we can see industry burgeoning here. I don't think that's a problem at all.